Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited today. I have my new friend Kelly Fisher on the show. Kelly, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. That's my main gig here in my office. I see people virtually all over the place and through Zoom. I think it's very interesting because you're called Global Wellness, and my company is called Global Mind Stretch because I really wanted to stretch the mentality of the whole planet. So I think we fit in really well there. Yeah, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to end mental suffering on this planet and raise consciousness. And when I first came up with that, believe me, I know it sounds like a lot of ego, but when I first came up with that, I thought, who the hell am I to do that? And I thought, well, you got to have a big, scary goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, just spreading how to get in control of your thought process, how to end anxiety and stress is one of my specialties. Just really just everything. I developed this thought, feeling, emotion, human funnel, I call it, that we funnel everything through. So there is no real objective reality out there. It's all about our reaction. So once you understand how this internal funnel works, man, everything falls into place.
I love it. And by the way, that was when I was on a call once and I said my goal was to expand human consciousness. And somebody actually said, "Who are you to do that?" And my response was, I have a moral obligation, and who am I to not do it?
Yes.
So
Yeah, as you know, Mark Twain's quote, the two most important days in your life, the day you were born and the day you figure out why. This is why I'm here. I think you just said that about yourself too. Yeah.
I love it. Well, let's jump right in because we do have a narrow window. But what exactly does working with you look like? How are you helping raise the consciousness of humanity?
Mhm. I have two main aspects I work. I have one-on-one. It's a 6-month course. It's one-on-one. I get my digital online courses with that. Anxiety solution, fall asleep instantly. I have 2 digital courses, a one-on-one 6-month course, and then I have a corporate wellness boot camp just to get to more people. So I go into corporations, businesses. I have a full day boot camp. They get 2 custom guided visualizations to listen to over and over again. And the second half is called the corporate stretch. I used to be a personal fitness trainer. That was my first book I released, Weight Loss from the Inside Out. So the second half is how to cut down on repetitive injuries, replacement costs. So it's a full day boot camp that I've put together for corporations.
I love it. Now, I think there's so many paths my brain wants to go down, and the reason I shortened the podcast is so that I only go down one. But don't feel hemmed in if you want to go on a tangent. There's no such thing. What do you think is the root cause of corporate stress today?
A big part of it is not being heard from the bottom up. Why should I put so much effort into it if they're not going to even listen to my ideas, or they listen and they don't do anything? So there's a gap there that needs to be closed as far as the culture goes, I think.
I love it. Now, when somebody's working with you, what exactly are you giving them at the end? I'm going to commit 6 months of my life to working with Kelly. Where am I today? Where am I at the end, where I'm hugging you, shaking your hand and saying thank you?
Yeah. Yeah, I completely guarantee working together that you will end stress and anxiety in your life. And if you don't, we'll keep working after 6 months, but I guarantee it. And from week to week, the beautiful part about it is it's custom guided. Like every week, we have a hypnotherapy session, the last 15 minutes of our meeting. And then from that first hour we were speaking, it's a 75-minute session. The last 15 minutes of the hypnotherapy, I put back in your subconscious mind by getting you into this deep, relaxed place, meditation, hypnosis. It's all lower in brainwave frequencies, nothing real magic about it. But your subconscious is wide awake and alert for change. So I record those last 15 minutes, send it to you. You listen once or twice a day. So the next week we get together, we're just accelerating this healing so quickly.
I love it. Now, what are some of the most common complaints somebody would have when they're coming to you? Like, because I believe in being self-aware, but I also recognize not everybody is.
Right. Well, that's a great point. Waking them up to, people are like, "Are you going to hypnotize me?" I said, "I'm going to wake you up. You've been in hypnosis for a long time." Uh, yeah, yeah. It's not knowing that again, not being aware of, able to make the change. Even the first sentence in my book was, "Our conscious thought is the only thing we're in 100% control of, or could be." So once you understand that, wait a second, I can control my thoughts and change everything. We get into law of attraction, secret, all like, I mean, that's good stuff, but I get more into detail about how it actually, the radio frequency works you're sending out.
I love that. And my personal belief, I love the premise of the law of attraction, and I love the premise of the secret. What I felt that was always missing was that action step.
Mm.
And again, I want to hear your thoughts, because I remember watching, and the way Jeff's memory works was, I remember a kid who drew a picture of a bike, and then he sat on his couch and said, "I want a bike, I want a bike." And my brain, that's a step too far. It's like, I feel like somebody's got to get their butt off the couch and go do something. Is that fair?
There's a huge gap there. Yes, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned. I talk about how we all know we just can't sit and visualize a Lamborghini and shows up the driveway. That's everyone knows that. But what I put on the law of attraction is the radio signal going out. But without that meditation and visualization, you have no chance. So yes, that's the first step. The secret is the
Yeah.
first step. But what I call the echo bounce back, because you send it out to the universe, that echo bounce back, you have to recalibrate your focus because, well, my life is never changing. It sucks. Well, how about that one? You were talking about stocks the other day and you met that guy at the break room was talking about investing in stocks. Oh yeah, but that's the echo bounce back. We have to recalibrate. It's working, but 99% of it looks the same from day to day. But when you're doing the work, you need to figure out that echo bounce back. Hey, wait, I just met somebody the other day. Oh yeah, I was thinking about that and projecting it out. So you have to be aware of that process also.
And I think, again, I see the secret as planting the seed, but you got to come back and check on the seed. You've got to tend it. You've got to, tell people, "Hey, I'm planning on a prize-winning garden this year." There's more than just, okay, seed planted. Now I'm going to go sit on the couch and watch TV.
Yeah. Attend to it and keep believing. That's a part that, well, it's not happening yet. People just start to fade with the goal. So, yes, the keep believing part and just knowing. And we go from believing to knowing. Once you know something's going to happen, that's different than just believing. So, it's a sliding scale of manifestation, so to speak.
I love it. And honestly, that's I tune out when people just say, "No, no, no, you just got to sit on your couch and dream it." But the reality is, without that dream, you're never going to get off your couch and go find the thing. And then once you get to that knowing stage, I have certain things in my life. Once I get to knowing it, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And what I love, and you said some wording about, or we can choose to. I feel like that's really critical, because a lot of people don't know they can choose, therefore they're stuck. Is that fair?
Yes, that conscious mind we're talking with right now, it's the ego. I call it the little yip yip dog in the back of your mind that just won't leave you alone. And most people think they are, I call it like CNN ticker tape going across, that
Yeah.
conscious roof chatter. People think that's who they are.
Yeah.
And you're not. So who am I without that? Let's talk about it. Let's dive deeper subconsciously, lowering brainwave frequencies down. Fine. And I get metaphysical, connecting to your overshadowing soul. I mean, I've been lucid dreaming, out of body experiences. I've been on so many levels of consciousness that when appropriate, I pull that into working with my clients.
I love that. And I think the big thing is, as you said, the assumption that we're that ticker tape, when really truly that's, I don't know, 5% of the brain. Um, and how many centuries old versus the rest of your brain, which has been around since we crawled out of the ooze.
Yep.
um, so
Yep.
I think the levels of consciousness is something. um, I have this conversation a lot, and I'm new to the conversation, so I don't always have the language. But the reality is, we're finite beings in an infinite world, and when we cut ourselves off from the rest of the world, we're only going to grow as much as we're willing to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my definitions of depression, I take words apart. Depress. We're depressing our own emotions down. Usually starts with anger at yourself or what you didn't do. And so you start pressing down. And what happens is that the circle gets so small that it's like there's no way anybody could ever understand what I'm going through. Yes, there's somebody's been there, what you're going through, so your circle gets small and just the outside world feels like it's coming against you. The good news is if you understand how that path worked to get down to that, there's a way back up to the light. Follow
I
the breadcrumbs.
I love it, and I feel like that's the first choice somebody has to make is, do I want to go back to the light?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I feel like you and I, we could talk till we're blue in the face, but if somebody's happy in their little dot of suffering, I doubt that you or I could elevate them. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just got off with a personal client. I've been working with him for a couple of months about his relationship. I said, well, we got to meet your wife. I mean, we got to get us all online here. And he talked about that where she's not going to change. I'm like, I get it. You probably know her a lot better than me after 40 years of marriage, but you'd be surprised the questions I ask, how I can dig into the subconscious mind. You'd be surprised. But yes, my point was of course, she's not going to meet me without the desire to change. That's always the
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Well, and I saw an analogy the other day. I want your take on this. The conscious mind is like the captain of a ship, and the captain can see and interact with the world, and then the subconscious is the crew underneath the deck. The engineers or whatever you call them, where they'll do whatever the captain tells them to do, and if the captain says run aground with bad instructions, that brain or the engineering crew will run you aground. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that. One of the analogies I have about a ship is funny you bring that up is Alan Watts, my favorite philosopher. He talks about this, but um, being steering the ship, that's the conscious mind. That's going now. That's present. But also the wake of the ship that it leaves behind. That's your past, and most people live there. I mean, I have a thing about telling a new story. You can't tell that new story. You can't bring that forward. So most people think they are their past, which means it's going to predict their future. That's not true. Somebody told you that. It's not true. We could change it right here and now. But yeah, your subconscious mind is the crew. I agree with that analogy that your conscious mind starts to change, like we talked about. And that's why people come to me. It's like, well, it's not changing. Well, let's reverse engineer. All behavior serves a purpose. Let's reverse engineer it, see where it came from. So most of my clients, I do age regression. We go back to 8 years old when your father told you weren't good and you were never going to be. We go back there in hypnosis and replace the triggers. It's a very powerful healing process.
I love that. And I think that's my observation. People want to fix today. They want the band-aid or the instant gratification. I'm a big fan of inner work, and I'd rather go back and figure out what the trigger was than keep trying to either prevent or cure whatever today's outcome is.
Yeah, because like the percentages you gave, 10% of our conscious mind, that's who we live, who we think we are. 90% of the subconscious mind, that is literally a program, like a computer. It's literally everything you saw growing up, past relationships, everything. Most people don't even realize they're bringing this whole program forward. So when I start to reverse engineer it, they're like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. That was horrible. I'm like, let's go back there and clean that up. So yeah.
Yep. And again, does that moment still apply today? And is it true? In my work, I'm on the spectrum, so I like to have nice, neat labels. I had this aha moment that my source code was written by a whole bunch of random people who didn't know what the outcome of that human they were coding should be. I owe it to myself and everybody around me to go back and pull out the bits of code that don't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, we're sent here like, we we've been programmed since birth. I mean, 0 to 7 years old, we have no conscious mind. It's all complete programming. But the responsibility to make the changes, that's where, like you said, that's where we're in control of.
I love it. Now, Kelly, I could talk to you all day because I feel like you and I have we're on the same boat, so to speak. How can people get a hold of you? How can they collaborate and maybe talk about working with you?
Sure, excellent. Yeah. So the one-on-one 6 month, I call it mental mastery for high achievers. It's a 6 month course. You can go to globalmindstretch.com, globalmindstrtch.com. And I have a free meditation to start you, introduction to anxiety. So you could just get that for free on the website. Listen to that, decide whether we want to work together. I have the whole 6 month program. The corporate side, I have MindCorp LLC, MINDCORP LLC.com. Again, there's a free corporate quick break meditation for the corporate world. So you can just unplug, sit in your office. Those are free. And then I have the full day boot camp. We could talk about changing the culture of your business.
Awesome. Now, in the final minutes we have here, if I'm in charge of corporate wellness, why would I bring you in? What impact would I see on my team?
Yeah, I bring, since I bring the hypnotherapy part to this, and I send out the questionnaire beforehand, when I work with a company to find out what they're specifically needing. So every boot camp is custom designed to specifically what they need. So that's a huge benefit to them.
I love it. Well, is there anything parting thoughts or action items you'd like to share with my audience before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I feel like we talked about depression, to depress your own emotions. I've been through extreme anxiety. When my first wife walked out, I did my TEDx talk about it. That when your circle's so low, know deep down inside that somebody else has been through that. I worked through that darkness without drugs, I pulled myself out, created my program, Anxiety Solution, to teach people. So my parting shot is just, I know what the circles are like when it's small. Nobody can understand what you're going through, but somebody does understand. Reach out for help.
I love that. And I think that's the devil in our head. We want to think we're special and unique and alone, but the reality is the only way you heal is once you realize you're not alone. Fair?
Yes, yeah, we're connected. Absolutely. I want to say, I just listened to the audiobook not too long ago, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. And I thought, this is what he's talking about. This is exactly what he's talking about.
The devil is in here, not some external being that's got, and again, we won't get into the
Yeah.
where the devil comes from, but we are our own worst enemy on a bad day. So
Yeah. People think life is coming at them. That's just not. Even Bashar, I don't know if you follow, he talks about that, where life is meaningless. He says it like that on purpose.
yeah,
We give meaning to it. And that's very important distinction. Life isn't coming at us. We're not being tested by God or the universe. It's just not it's a frequency. It's not the way it works.
God's busy. He's got other things to do.
A lot of emails to answer. That's right.
Well, Kelly, it was a real pleasure, and I'll make sure to put your contact details in the notes. But thank you for hanging out with me, and I guarantee our audience is going to be begging you to come back. So thank you.
Love to. Thanks so much for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.